Hey everybody, today is Wednesday, November the 11th, and today we celebrate Veterans Day. If you know a veteran, have a veteran in your family, a neighbor, a friend, thank them for their service. It is so appreciated so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we have. We're going to go ahead and get started with our math. We're still working on multiplication using equal groups. We talked about the importance of the word equal when we're thinking of multiplication. Today we're going to be continuing with those equal groups and putting things into equal groups so that we can understand how multiplication works and what its purpose is for us in math. So the very first thing that we're going to talk about will be how we can use those groups to figure out the total number. Our learning objective for today is we are learning to represent multiplication with equal groups. Now this week we've talked about how we can put those into groups of items and then figure out the answer other ways than just knowing the basic fact. If we don't know the basic multiplication fact, that's not the end of the world. We can figure out other ways to solve multiplication. For now, our purpose is to learn the ins and outs of multiplication, what it really means in third grade. We will be learning facts, but for now we need to know how we can represent them, what it's going to look like. So our very first problem for today, I want you to just take a look at the picture. I want you to pause the video and just get an idea of what your eyes are seeing there. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about it. So please pause your video and take a look at the picture and tell me what you see. Okay, I hope some of you are seeing that there's some makeup brushes in a jar. Um, I'm sure by now that you can already see there's 6 groups or 6 jars. And if you looked at the picture closely, you could see that there are 8 brushes in each jar. So we're looking at 6 groups or 6 jars with 8 brushes in each. How could we use this for multiplication? What kind of questions do you think they're going to ask us here? Do you think they want to know how many makeup brushes there are in all? Because we're thinking of multiplication, we know that we're looking at equal groups, so that means equal numbers. And if we're looking for the total, then that would be a very good question for us here. How many makeup brushes are in all? So let's look at that in regards to number of groups, number of objects in each group, and how we could do a repeated addition sentence and a multiplication sentence or equation, which we call those equations as well, to represent that picture. So if we're looking at groups, we're going to think about how many we see in all. So we're going to count those. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We see 6 groups, 6 jars. So we're going to go ahead and put the number 6 first because that represents the number of groups. And then we're going to think about the objects inside. We're going to think about how many objects are in a group. So we're going to look at one group. And we counted earlier, there is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 objects in one jar, and we know that we have 6 jars. So how could we represent this as a multiplication sentence and a repeated addition sentence? So we're looking at this picture again. Are we repeating the groups, or are we repeating the objects? We see that there's 6 groups, but what's repeating over and over? And that's going to be what's inside that jar. So that would be what our repeated addition sentence would look like. We would do 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. We need one more plus 8 to get our answer. Now, again, if I don't know how to multiply yet, I could use counting by ones to get my answer. I could just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Just keep counting by ones, just like that, like we did when we were in first grade and second grade. Then I could also count by my eights if I know how to count by my eights to help me, which is the same thing as adding 8 each time. And then I could also know my basic fact, which we will be working on this year. So I could just do a multiplication sentence that would represent my groups and the objects in each group. And I could take the information that I did here. There are 6 groups of 8 and use that as a multiplication sentence. 6 groups of 8 would be written just like this. Now, I can add by my 8s, which I'm going to do here. I could do 8 plus 8 to get 16. 8 more gives me 24. 8 more gives me 32. 8 more gives me 40. 8 more gives me 48. So if I do that repeated addition, I can get my answer for 48. Now again, it's not a big issue if you want to count by your ones and come up here to each picture and count by 1. That's perfectly fine too. Whatever way makes it easiest for you to figure out what the total number of brushes in the jar are. Okay for you to use. It's okay to use that. So we want to know how many brushes are in the jars total. So in this case, there are 48 brushes in all. Okay, go ahead and look at this picture and come up with some ideas about what you're seeing. I want you to go ahead and pause your video. Take a look at that. Come up with some ideas about what they might be asking here, what kind of question we're trying to answer with multiplication. So pause your video now and come up with some ideas. So in this particular picture, I'm seeing groups that are broken down into 6 hearts. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I see 6 groups, and in each group I see 6 hearts. So I want to think about how I can turn this into a multiplication problem. What kind of question do you think they might be asking? Are they going to be asking how many hearts we have altogether? The total number of hearts? So let's figure it out and decide how we would make that into a multiplication sentence and a repeated addition sentence to represent the problem. So if we're looking at the number of groups, I'm going to count each group. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to put the number 6 for 6 groups of, and inside that group, I want to know how many hearts I have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 groups of 6. Again, this represents the whole picture represents the group, and then what's inside that group is going to tell me how many objects are there. So that's where these two numbers come from. Now, if I want to write a repeated addition sentence here, I know that I'm going to have 6. This, how many groups I have represents how many times I should see the number of objects. So I'm going to have to see 6 times. So I'm going to do 6 plus 6 plus 6. Oops, not sure why that popped up. Sorry about that. 6 plus 6 plus 6. I don't think I'm going to put all those spaces. That takes me a little longer, guys, so I'm just going to put them together. Plus 6. So now I have 6 groups of 6s in my repeated addition sentence. Now, if I want to write a multiplication sentence that represents the same picture, I know that I'm going to put my groups first. So I have 6 groups times 6 objects. Now, again, we could count by our 1s. We could count by our 6s. So in this case, I'm going to count by 6s. I have 6 plus 6 to get 12, 6 more to get 18, 6 more to get 24, 6 more to get 30, 6 more to get 36. So my answer to this question is 36. There is 36 total hearts in this problem. Oh my goodness, looking at this next problem, it makes me hungry. All of these good little slices of pizza. In the private comments on our lesson work today, when you're turning it in, please tell me your favorite kind of pizza. I love all kinds of pizza, so I can't choose between any of them. I like them with everything on it. I even like them with just pepperoni. So I can't choose. But in your private comments on your lesson work, tell me your favorite pizza. So again, I want you to look at this picture. I want you to pause the video and kind of decide what you think the possible question might be here. So I hope you said that more than likely they're wanting to know how many pepperonis are on this slice of pizza. So I'm just going to look at this pizza and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 pepperonis in each group. And how many groups do we see? So I'm going to count how many groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to put 8 groups of 5. 8 groups of 5. Now in this one, I'm going to write a repeated addition sentence. And in my repeated addition sentence, I'm going to put 5 plus 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 5. So I'm going to have 5 in my addition sentence 8 times. And then I'm going to write a repeated addition sentence, or I'm sorry, a multiplication sentence to match that. So now that I've written my multiplication sentences there, I can see that my answer can be easily found by counting by my 5s, or I can count individual pepperonis, whichever way is easier for you. But one of the things that we learned when we were in the lower grade levels was how to count by our 5s. So this is one of those that I absolutely love because it makes it easier for me to be able to count by my 5s here to get the answer. So in this case, I'm going to count 5 8 times. So 5 plus 5 is 10. And I can just do 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 to get my answer. So in this case, the answer would be 40. So I'm going to quickly go over today's lesson work. I'm going to see Miss Adams' homeroom in my live lesson. Bayes and O'Brien's homerooms, watch the instructional video, which hopefully that's what you're doing now. If you are in Bayes or O'Brien's room, you're going to complete the problem of the day. And then you're going to complete Math IXL, 3rd grade, E3. I want you to try your very best to get a SMART score of 100. Remember that, if you've taken it already this year, you're going to complete it again today just for that additional practice. I did see where some people had already gone ahead and worked on that. So if you've already taken it once this year, I still want you to do it for today so I can go back and see where you've taken it again today to get your credit for that. So again, if you've already completed it once this year, complete it again today. I hope everybody has a great day and enjoy Veterans Day and get your work finished. And I'll see you soon.